Gentlemen, it's time for a dating story. When using dating apps or any kind of online dating, we have to trust that the person presented to us with their photos and bio is who they say they are. When someone is misleading or uses another person's photos in their profile, they are what's known as a catfish. I have heard plenty of horror stories from both men and women about people they've met on dating apps who turned out to be very different from the image they presented. But it's never happened to me until last week. So I'm going to tell you how I handled this, how I think you should handle it, what to do to avoid getting catfished in the future, and what I've learned from this experience. Gentlemen, let's begin. The woman in this story is actually the first woman I've ever met on Hinge. It's a very popular dating app, but I just didn't join it until a couple of weeks ago. This, however, could have happened on any dating app. Obviously, their photos are what you see first, and this woman is what I would call my type on paper. Long, dark hair, brown eyes, and big red lips. She had quite a few photos on her profile and she looked pretty much the same in all of them. Her bio said she wanted to hear a pickup line, and she wrote something about guys in finance, so I crafted a finance-related pickup line. Something like, "Hey, are you alone? Because I've got interest in you." Terrible, I know, but she asked for it and it worked. So she replied quickly with, "Yes, but this is a very high-interest loan. How is your appetite for risk?" Well, I like a woman who can be flirtatious and a little dangerous, so I was hooked. We exchanged flirty messages with these financial metaphors for a while before agreeing to a brunch date the following day. I have to say, her communication and flirting was excellent, and I was very excited for the date. She told me to look out for a woman of about 5'5" with a pink sundress and red lips. I chose a brunch spot on the riverfront, just a few minutes walk from Gent Z HQ. I got there early to secure our table and to finish off a little work while I waited. Just as I was sitting there, something struck me for the first time. As beautiful as I thought this woman was, she didn't have any full body photos on her profile. Had I been so swept away by her facial attractiveness and her flirting that I'd failed to do my due diligence? This hesitation hung over me like the humidity on that hot Chicago afternoon when she texted me to say she was pulling up. This restaurant had multiple levels to it, so I went out to the entrance to meet her. She waved from the back seat of the Uber as it pulled up, but just from looking through the car window, I could tell I'd been valid in my suspicions. As the car door opened, the woman who stepped out was significantly larger than I'd anticipated. Now gents, if you like big women, power to you. I by no means like a skinny woman. I like voluptuous, curvy, feminine women, but I do draw the line at obesity. I gave her a hug and kiss hello and led her into the restaurant and to our table. It's hard to remember if I had any thoughts more eloquent other than, for fuck's sake, as we sat down for our brunch. I knew this was a non-starter. As much as personality and facial beauty matter, your dear host does not date obese women. So I had to make a choice in that 30-second period between greeting her and sitting down to begin the conversation. I could just cut things there, say she looked different to how I expected and that it wasn't worth wasting our time, or I could take a different approach. I could use this brunch as an opportunity to get to know someone new, learn about someone's culture, she was from the Lebanon, and practice my skills in conversation and dating. So I took the latter option, and honestly, it's frustrating how much I enjoyed talking with this woman. She was the most intelligent, cultured, and humorous woman I have been on a date with in a long time. We broke all the rules for what you should talk about on a date. Politics, religion, past relationships, and it was a riot. Honestly, I could have enjoyed being friends with her and kept talking with her much longer than we did. But no matter how great the conversation, there was just no chance I was going to be attracted or romantically interested in her. We'd spent about an hour on this date, enjoying our Caesar salads and our colourful conversation. But I was not prepared to neglect my video making duties for the entire afternoon over a woman I had zero potential with. When we were done eating and the waitress came back, I asked for the check. When it arrived, my date asked me, "How would you like to do the check?" Now, I've been on about a date a week for the past couple of months, and this is the first time I've had a woman even acknowledge the check, so that impressed me. Even though she was not a person I wanted to see again, I did pay the check. It wasn't expensive anyway. Paying the check is the gentlemanly thing to do, and I believe that you are responsible for conducting yourself like a gentleman, whatever happens. I was not about to lower my standards of behavior just because she had been a disappointment. We left our table, and at the entrance of the restaurant said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. It was a quick goodbye. There was certainly no lingering for a kiss or speeches about our future potential. But by the time I got home, she texted me, "I really enjoyed the chat. I think you have a really interesting mind. Thank you for brunch." It was a nice message, and we texted back and forth a few times, but I had to let her know that this wasn't going to be happening again. Here's what I wrote verbatim. I hope you agree it was tactful and polite. "I really enjoyed our date and getting to know you. I don't feel like we had the chemistry to take things further than friends though." She replied, "Yeah, I agree. Still a really good chat." Now, not being arrogant, but I'm almost 100% confident she did not agree. But you know, we all have our egos, and whatever she wants to save face is fine with me. So you might be wondering why I didn't call her out for being misleading with her profile. Frankly, a woman knows her weaknesses. She knew she was overweight and that most men don't like that. If she hides it on her profile, she knows what she's doing, and it's not my job to call out the elephant in the room. It's just not worth the aggravation for me. If she has half a brain cell, and I'm sure she does, she knows why I wasn't interested in seeing her again. And if she doesn't, then experiential learning should teach her that after enough dates like this. And what did I learn as the man from this experience? I learned that even if you instantly realize that the woman you're on a date with is not attractive, the date doesn't have to be a write-off. A gentleman believes that everyone has at least something interesting you can learn from them. From this woman, I learned more about Lebanese culture. I learned what it's like working in the emergency room, because that's what she did. And I learned her perspective on dating in the US as a Lebanese woman. I also learned that it's always worth conducting yourself like a gentleman, even if things don't go your way. Because if I'd been mean to her or made her split the bill, would that have been a better experience for me? Absolutely not. Online dating is always somewhat of a roulette game, and the ball doesn't always land on your number every time. As a gentleman, you have to be prepared to roll with the punches. If you have a bad experience, reflect on it a little, but most importantly, laugh about it and move on to the next one. I have the same attitude about the following date that I had, in which I really liked the woman, but my feelings weren't reciprocated. I suppose the saying is, c'est la vie. Finally, it made me grateful that I don't tell the women I'm dating about my YouTube channel, because I certainly would not have made this video if I thought she were going to watch. Now, not revealing any full body photos is kind of a classic fat girl move, and it's my fault for being so naive and not doing my due diligence. But remember, men catfish women too. I speak to my female friends about their dating experiences, and one thing that happens a lot is men lying about their height. Now, as a 6'2" man, I can understand that I come from a place of privilege, but if you exaggerate by more than an inch or two, you're downright lying. As soon as she sees you walk up to her looking significantly shorter than you said you were, she's going to feel all of the feelings that I just told you I had about my date. Who knows, maybe you'll end up being the subject of a YouTube video too. Gentlemen, let me hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been catfished? Did a date turn up looking significantly larger or different than you'd expected? And how did you handle your big problem? If you are outright struggling to get dates, you don't feel like dating apps work for you, hit the link in the description where you can book a one-to-one session with me to improve your dating app profiles and get better matches. Until the next one, thank you for watching.